This week sees the release of Sweet Tooth on Netflix, a TV series based on the comic of the same name from DC Vertigo line, written and illustrated by Jeff Lemire, Canada's very own Jeff Lemire. Now, this is a name that is synonymous with amazing content throughout comics, whether it's DC, Marvel, or the independent scene. I've got 3 titles that I think you definitely want to pay attention to. I'm telling you, this guy is one of my favorite writers, and I'll explain why. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the 905, the channel where we talk about comics, collectibles, and whatever. My name is Rob. Thank you so much for tuning in. If this is your first time here, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button that is down below. If you are a returning guest, hey, thanks so much for coming back. Hopefully you have subscribed. If not, please do so. And that as well, at the end of the video, give me the thumbs up or the thumbs down. I can handle the rejection. I can handle rejection if you don't like the video. That's fine. The thumbs up would be great. And as always, leave me comments as well. So, as I said at the beginning of the video, this week sees the release of Jeff Lemire's Sweet Tooth adaptation on Netflix. And I gotta tell you, I am super stoked for this series to come out. Having said that, I actually have never read Jeff Lemire's Sweet Tooth. I've never read it. It is out. I believe that DC recently put out a brand new compendium version that you can pick up from your local comic store. You should definitely go ahead and do that. So I've never read it, and I have a very vague understanding of what this story is about, and I do know that this series, which is being produced by Robert Downey Jr. and his wife, it does, I guess, make it a bit more palatable for the viewing audience, in the sense that the comic is a bit more darker, but it still maintains the energy, the DNA of the source material. So I'm really stoked for this, and maybe you are as well. Hopefully you are. The trailer looks gorgeous. It looks amazing. I do know, though, as a segue, the producers are a bit concerned because the beginning of the show deals with the world having gone through a pandemic, and well, that's currently where we are right now. So they're a bit concerned that viewers will be like, no, this is hitting too close to home, I'm going to turn it off. But, you know, don't do that. Production started way before our current pandemic. So definitely give it a go if it's something that interests you. And hopefully it does, because it's something unique and interesting. And we could always use that with our entertainment, right? Something new. So I'm excited. Hopefully you are as well. But you're not here to talk about Sweet Tooth. Maybe we'll do a review of it either here or on the HeroesWorld podcast. What you're here for is, well, aside from my charm and my obviously cool-looking pandemic hair, what you're here for, though, is a discussion on Jeff Lemire and my suggestions for you. So my first introduction to Jeff Lemire was through a collaboration he did with Scott Snyder for Image Comics called AD, or After Death, and Lemire was the artist, and I was completely captivated by the gorgeous art, which is a very not usual style that I appreciate. It's not. I like a nice, clean, line of art. This is vastly different, but it totally captivated me. The story I thought was very interesting, but I was completely hooked on the art. That then made me move into some of Jeff Lemire's other works. Now, I know that he's had successful runs on the new 52 version of Green Arrow. I know that his Moon Knight run is successful. I know that it is well regarded. I know that a lot of people love Black Hammer. I haven't read any of those. So my suggestions to you today are only series that I have personally read. In no particular order. Actually, you know what we'll do? We'll do an alphabetical order. Let's do alphabetical. So starting off with Gideon Falls. Now, this may be a property that you have heard of. This is written by Jeff Lemire and illustrated by an often frequent collaborator of Jeff's, Andrea Sorrentino, released by Image Comics, and it is a true horror, crazy style comic that you definitely want to check out. So without giving too much away for Gideon Falls, the archdiocese, or I guess the head of the church, sends a priest to the town of Gideon Falls to replace their predecessor that was there, who has mysteriously disappeared. And while in Gideon Falls, the priest uncovers mysteries that are tied to the past of this town thanks to a doorway into hell via the Black Barn. Now, that's like a really simplistic overview or summary of it, but I'm telling you right now, this is a book that you literally do. You twist the book around. The art is fantastic. It's mind-bending and trippy, and it's definitely something that you want to read. Now, I've got all I think it was 27 issues. I have them all in single copies. I do know that they are in trade paperback form right now. So again, call your local comic shop and have them put some aside for you. Although I will say that the whole series being collected into 2 hardcovers. So if you want to wait a few weeks, you can collect the first part in hardcover, which comes out in August. And again, from your local comic shop. But definitely give Gideon Falls a try. You are going to love it. Okay, the next 2 selections are books that are written and illustrated by Jeff Lemire directly. So the first one we're going to talk about is called Royal City. This is something that was kind of special to my heart as a kid who kind of grew up in a bit of a small town. The small town mentality is somewhat universal throughout the world. So this is one of his masterful ways of conveying a story. So Royal City is 14 issues only. Patrick is the main character. When Patrick goes back to his small town, and is a story of acknowledging trauma and deep pain within a family dynamic. And listen, every family has got some stories behind, right? But this is a story essentially about acknowledging that trauma and healing it despite the family horrors that have come before. So it is definitely a story that is very relatable on different scales. It's something that I would highly recommend you pick up. Again, you can contact your local comic shop to see if they have copies of the trade paperbacks or have them ordered in for you. There might be a full collected edition out, or again in maybe 1 or 2 different hardcovers, but it's something I definitely would recommend that you pick up. It's Royal City from Image Comics. Okay, and last up today is a book that I was very surprised at how drawn into it I was. And I'm talking about The Underwater Welder. Just for your own information, it is in black and white. So if you have an issue with that, you're going to have to get over it, because not only is the art stunning, but the story is captivating. We find the stories about Jack, who is an underwater welder, who is trying to reconcile the memories of his own father as he faces the future of becoming a dad himself. And I got to tell you, I read this after I had kids, but I could relate to the fears and wonders about whether or not you would be a good enough dad to these humans that you were essentially bringing into the world. And if you're not a parent, there are a lot of themes and elements in this story that are very relatable to you as well. And I think that it's something that you owe it to yourself to read a very compelling and heartfelt story. This is a property that has recently been, and I say recently, I guess it was a couple years ago, was optioned by Ryan Gosling to make a movie. I don't know where we are in this process with that. And again, with COVID, everything gets stopped in terms of production. But it was a property that was optioned by Ryan Gosling. So we might be getting an Underwater Welder movie sometime in the future. I don't know. But in the meantime, we have this amazing story. And I would really, really recommend, again, you to pick this up and take a look at it. And as well as Royal City, these are 2 properties amongst a bunch of others that he has written and drawn himself that are just so compelling and so captivating. And they are relatable on so many different levels. And like I said, you don't have to be a father or a parent to understand some of the questions of self-doubt that you read in The Underwater Welder. My recommendation for you this week are 3 titles from Jeff Lemire. Like I said, we're going to go Gideon Falls, Royal City, The Underwater Welder, all leading up to this week's release of Sweet Tooth on Netflix. And I think you're really going to enjoy the TV show. And I'm going to go out and maybe pick up a copy of Sweet Tooth myself. Let me know in the comments below, have you read any of these titles? Do you think you were going to watch Sweet Tooth, or you're kind of on the fence about it? And do any of these titles, if you haven't read them, is it something that you think you might be interested in? Let me know. And if you do pick them up, come back into the channel and let me know what your thoughts are. So that's it. Jeff Lemire, what a Canadian. I don't really know him, but I'm going to say what a Canadian, because, hey, why not? Success for all Canadians makes the world a better place, doesn't it? Okay. So until next time, Stay safe, everybody. Take care.